Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a little bit of a different voice to start off your episode with, but welcome to the 20th episode of Movies That Matter. I know it's, like I said, it's a different voice, but I'm sure you recognize my voice, as I have been a guest on this show many times before. My name is Liz Gillespie, and you might be wondering to yourself, why am I the one introducing the show for the first time? Well, that's because our guest today is none other than Mr. Chris Flaherty himself.
Just co-host, guest, whatever.
We're co-hosting.
You're driving today.
We're co-hosting today, so a little bit different. But today is the 20th episode of Movies That Matter, and today, Chris, what are we here to talk about?
We're here to talk about Disney and Pixar's Finding Nemo, which celebrates its 20th anniversary this year.
20th episode, 20th...
anniversary.
There we go. Perfect.
You're 20 years old.
Yeah, I'm 20 years old. I was going to start that off. Yep, this movie came out, I think, 6 months after I was born.
Yep.
Something like that.
It was very similar to me and Beauty and the Beast. Both came out the same year. So.
Very special.
Yeah.
So for starters, can you tell us a little bit about what the film is about?
Sure. So this is what it feels like to be on the other side of this thing.
It's weird, isn't it?
It is weird, but we're going to have fun.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
So the film... The protagonist is Marlin. He's a clownfish who lives on the Great Barrier Reef. This is animated, by the way.
Yeah, Pixar movie, so that makes sense.
And him and his wife are expecting many children, as clownfish do. Mm-hmm. But through a tragic event, Marlin's wife is lost, as well as the eggs of 99% of his future children, except for one egg was spared, and the egg is kind of damaged. And that egg grows up to be his son Nemo with a damaged fin, and sort of traumatized by the events of his past, Marlin sort of becomes a bit of a, I'll say, helicopter dad. Doesn't want anything bad to happen to Nemo. He's very hesitant to let him go out into school. I get it, school fish pun, and explore the reef with his classmates. And then one day, Marlin's worst fears come true. Nemo is captured by divers and taken to P. Sherman 482 Wallaby Way, Sydney, Australia. And so Marlin, who has not left the reef like his whole life or ever since the accident that took Nemo's mother and siblings away, he chases the boat across the ocean, and along the way he meets a very forgetful fish named Dory, voiced by Ellen DeGeneres, and they're on a mission to find Nemo.
Yep. It's very well explained. So, do you remember the first time you watched this movie?
I do. So, here's where our age gaps come in. I was in 6th grade at the time, and me and my mother went to go see it. This was at a time when I was like, you know, when you get to that age where you're like, oh, I'm too cool to go to the movies with my parents anymore. This was like one of the last movies I went and saw with my mother, like in grade school. Like, I think the second to last one was Elf.
Yep.
Yep. And I don't know. I'll get real for a second. This is the second movie I've ever cried at.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it that really drove the emotion for you?
I think just the relationship between the father and the son. Marlin literally will cross the entire world for his son. There are a few moments in this movie which are accompanied beautifully by Thomas Newman's score. I mean, the Finding Nemo score is just beautiful.
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
The ending also just really got me. Mm-hmm. When, like, Nemo runs back and gives his father a hug and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very, like, just a small little thing, because it's similar to, like, the beginning where he's going off on a trip with his school again.
Right.
And instead of just, bye, Dad, I have to go,
mm-hmm.
he comes back, and it just really wraps up everything well.
Yeah, and it is as much Nemo's movie as it is Marlin's, because they are learning to understand each other from different perspectives. So.
I don't remember the exact time when I watched this, well, because the movie's as old as I am, so I don't actually remember, because this is one movie that I think I watched when I was really young. Mm-hmm. So I think the first few times that I did see it, I remember it being Nemo's movie. Yeah. Nemo's in the title. It's his movie. He's the main protagonist of the movie. And then as I got older and watched it again, I really came to, like, recognize that, oh, while Nemo is the center of focus, this is really a story driven by Marlin.
Yeah.
Marlin is the one who's really I don't want to say driving the bus, but
he's driving the bus.
He's driving the bus. It's Nemo is the focus, but he's really the one that you're paying attention to.
Right. Yeah.
And it is a great story about family. Do you have any like relation to like your family ties to it, or especially since you said that this was one of the last movies you went and watched with your mom when you were in grade school. It's kind of kid leaving the nest again, sort of thing.
Oh wow, I didn't even think about that.
Quick parallel for you.
Yeah. It never became like a special movie for me and Mom. I remember watching it at home with Dad a few times, and I never really got to talk with him about it. But I think it kind of gravitated towards him, like the whole father-son story.
Yeah.
And I definitely identify more with Marlin in the movie, and we could talk about that later. Mm-hmm. But it helped me understand like what it really means to be a parent in a way, and sort of like I sort of understood my father and my mother a little bit more from this movie.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the father-son relationship is just beautiful in this movie.
Interesting. Yeah. So you say you resonate more with the parents in the movie than the child. What was it that like really drew you towards the parent aspect of it more towards being the child? Especially since you're not a parent yourself.
No,
not yet. Anyway.
Not yet. I mean, I probably identify with Nemo like when I was younger. I can't really remember, but I think like Marlin, and you've known me for a long time, you can agree with me or disagree with me. I get a little panicky every now and then.
I've worked graduation with you before.
Yep. Maybe like a little overprotective of my loved ones sometimes. I struggle with social anxiety, so I definitely feel a lot like Marlin at times, and also I sympathize with I would do anything for my loved ones. I would travel across the ocean for my loved ones if I had to. I'd go get myself a shark. I don't know if it would end well for me, but I'd do it.
Hey, fish are friends, not food, as described by the sharks.
Yeah.
So, I definitely like I said, I always remember it being Nemo's movie and watching it, or like later on realizing it is Marlin's movie. Marlin is one of those characters you really think of as like really showing off what it's like to be anxious and be affected by a trauma that you have. Yeah. And especially when it comes to the people around you that you love, he's a really good example of somebody who's really affected by something. Yeah. And a lot of the times it's, you see how somebody's affected by a loss and they kind of take it out on everyone. You see a lot of, I feel like the overprotective, and it's not just like the overprotective and like the you need to follow my dream sort of things. It's like the world is dangerous and I just don't want you to get hurt. Right. In this particular one, it's like, I don't want anything to hurt you. It's not like I don't want this one particular thing to hurt you. I don't want the world to hurt you. Yeah. Which is a very good message.
No, I'm glad that you brought up the whole idea of like loss and grief and everything, because Nemo is literally the last. He is the last family member Marlin has left. Yeah. Like he went from thousands to one in just a quick cut to black. Yep. So it's totally understandable why he's very much the way he is.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what are some of the other moments in this movie that really resonate and stand out to you?
So many. It's a silly moment. When like all the I'm just gonna get the silly moment out of the way. When all the nukes go off underwater.
Oh yeah.
And then it just pops up as a bubble on the surface. I love the little moment where I can't remember the name of the pelican, Nigel. He's telling Nemo the story of his father, and I like the swelling of the music and looking at Nemo's face. The first time Nemo tries to climb up into the, I don't even call it, the filter.
Oh, yeah. In the fish tank? Yeah.
That's intense. Yeah. That's very intense for a kid's movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That one can get scarred into the brain.
Yeah. There's just a lot of like small serious moments that really stuck with me, like when they think Nemo is dead and Nigel brings them back to the water, and then Dory and Marlin have that conversation. Mm-hmm. I also really like the part where they're stuck in the whale.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And the conversation Marlin has with Dory. Mm-hmm. Like, well, you can't wish for nothing to happen to him, then nothing would ever happen to him. Yeah. And it's just like a silly little moment, but then it's like kind of like it's a light bulb moment for Marlin.
I think this movie does a really good job of, while it is a kids movie and has its lighthearted moments, I think there are a lot of, like, really well comedic timing moments in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, like the bubble that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They do a really good job of just kind of not throwing their kind of deeper messages at you, but, like, really doing a good job of, like, making you think about what each of the characters has gone through.
Yeah.
Because, like, Nemo has the things that have happened to him where he's lived a very sheltered life, but he has a little bit of a disability because of his fin. And
Right.
Marlin has his anxiety towards being overprotective, and Dory has her forgetful moments. Everyone kind of has their little flaw, but
Yeah.
they do a good job of kind of showcasing everyone's flaw.
Yeah.
And kind of putting that into the story and kind of adding some depth to it that way while still making it a very lighthearted movie to enjoy with your kids.
And something I thought about before we recorded is Dory almost becomes like a surrogate for Nemo, for Marlin, throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Because both characters are disabled. She has short-term memory loss. He has a broken fin. Mm-hmm. And he's like sort of burdened by her. Like, he doesn't want her on the journey. But as time goes on, he's very protective of her.
Absolutely, yeah.
And again, the whale moment, when she's about to fall back into the water, like, he has the moment where he decides to trust her and let her go, and then it all works out. Yeah. And that sort of parallels the moment where Nemo is going to go into the fisherman net and tell everyone to swim down.
Yep.
And that's when Marlin lets him go. So Dory sort of helps him become a better parent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There really is something about, and I think we've talked about this in previous episodes, there's something very special about your found family. And
Yes.
Dory absolutely is a part of the found family for Marlin and Nemo.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about found family in the next episode.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's going to come up a lot.
Yeah. This is a two-parter.
Ooh, double feature time.
Yeah.
So, speaking of some of, like, the more emotional moment, were there any other, like, deeply emotional moments that you really stood out to you or made you think deeper?
There's so many. I sort of look at the, now that I've gone through the losing my own father, that moment where Marlin lets Nemo go at the end.
Yeah.
That's sort of like, it's almost like the father stepping away and letting the son come into his own.
Yeah.
That's not what it's going on, but it is sort of how I interpret it nowadays. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about, like, the comedic timing in this movie. I think it does a great job of, like, cutting the tension or cutting, like, the hearts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, sort of making the harder moments a little easier to digest.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like what we were talking about in The Whale, when Dory says, like, you can't let anything happen to her, nothing would ever happen to him. And then the recurring joke of always getting Nemo's name wrong immediately after. Like, not much fun for little Harpo. So it's just like it relieves you for a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Even like at the end when, like, Nemo has hugged his father goodbye and they're leaving and she says, bye, Elmo. Like, I think Dory is very good at keeping this movie lighthearted.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
While also still adding to some of the more emotional, deep themes, especially with her own issues that she has.
Yeah. This one I feel like is maybe an underrated scene in the movie where Marlin is telling the story to the sea turtles, and then it passes through, and then finally we get to that scene where Nigel is telling Nemo the story. I think that says, like, kind of a lot about how we start to see our parents almost as these, like, legendary or prolific figures in life, like, through, like, their actions and their involvement with, like, the community and stuff.
Absolutely.
And you see that on Nemo's face, because Nemo originally didn't, like, really think too much of his dad. He thought he was just, like, a kind of a worrywart. And then, like, he hears this story and it's like, wow, my dad is traveling through the whole ocean to save me. And then that motivates him to get back into the filter.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I
Everything
think
works.
with this movie, one thing that really interests me and I think is really well done is how everyone kind of has some sort of family connection to them.
Yes.
Dory not so much until Finding Dory, which we can talk about later. Mm-hmm. But like Nemo and his dad have a connection. The turtles have their connection. Mm-hmm. Everyone sort of has like their like somebody that they connect to and like is their family. There's a lot of father son parent a lot of those kind of relationships, and you just kind of see the different bonds that different kind of families have. There's no one perfect way to have your family.
Right. We haven't even talked about the tank, the fish in the tank.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, that's a big found family right there.
Exactly.
A lot of fun characters there.
What a great, diverse, just array of fish you have in this movie.
Mm-hmm. And it's just crazy. Like, you got Willem Dafoe as, like, the scary fish, who I thought, for all intents and purposes, I mean, he looks scary.
No,
but he's not the villain.
Are we talking about the one that everyone online is thinking of, hot fish?
Oh, God, is that true?
I might be thinking of the wrong fish, but there is one fish that everyone's like,
objectively, if there's one fish...
I don't agree with it. I don't like it. But every so often, Instagram is just like, hey, you want hot fish? No, I do not. But
no.
We'll move past that now.
We'll move past that, yeah. But yeah, wonderful assortment of characters. Mm-hmm. And, like, the way they welcome Nemo into their club and stuff. Yeah. And how Gil looks after him and stuff. There's a lot about found family in this movie, I think, is very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially going off that even more, every sort of aspect, every sort of community that they all find themselves in, they're all very welcome in this movie. Mm-hmm. Dory, while she's kind of a burden to Marlin at first, he doesn't fully push her away. They keep going together. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You have one of my favorite bits from the entire movie is "We'll forever be the seagulls."
Yes.
The mind seagulls. You got a lot of them. They're kind of a family unto themselves.
That is probably one of the best written jokes in film history.
So funny.
Like, it's almost like, oh my God, how did no one think of that before?
It's so good.
It's so good. We have a Christmas ornament of the seagulls, and if you press it, you play, they say mine. But, like, as a rule, like, you can only, like, hit the button once a week.
So many times.
Yeah.
That's one of those ones that, like, is very highly referenced in, like, my family as well. Oh, yeah. Just we go out places, it's just mine.
It's so good.
It's so good. And, like you were saying, the fish in the tank, all the turtles, everyone's very welcoming of those in their new community. The school, they're all very happy to have Nemo there.
The sharks.
The sharks, yeah, exactly. Even the sharks. And I think with the sharks, they do a very good job of kind of showing that the world is scary, but you can still find, like, peace in it. Fish are friends, not food.
Right. That's actually a very good point about, like, the juxtaposition of the sharks being, like, good guys. Mm-hmm. But then, from the fish's perspective, the real villain in this movie is the little girl. Yeah. Darla.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who makes a grand debut to the theme from Psycho in this movie. Yeah. So it's interesting how Marlin is very afraid of the world, but then he gets this education, like, hey, sharks can be nice. Yeah. Little girls can be terrifying.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's one thing that, like, I think about a lot, where it's just like, the world is terrifying. There's a lot out there that you just don't understand. You kind of hear the worst in everything. And and I think the sharks are a great example of, while, yes, things are scary, especially from the outsider's perspective looking in. Yeah. There's still some light there. You can, again, find your place. You can feel safe. You can feel happy. You have... I don't know exactly what I was trying to finish that sentence with, but you can find your found family. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, Marlin is afraid to let Nemo out into the world, but Nemo it wasn't his choice, but he very quickly found, like, friends. Yeah. In the tank. The Tank Gang, I think they're called by merchandise, but yeah.
I don't know why that made me think of. Have you ever heard my very dumb running joke that I have with some of my friends, or one of my friends in particular?
No, keep going.
So, it started out at Flatbread, where I used to work. R.I.P. R.I.P. Flatbread. But we used to have a customer who would come in all the time, and his name was Bruce. And his name would pop up on our computers as Bruce. So my friend and I, every time we would see it pop up, we're like, oh, it's Bruce the Shark. And this is what I would say in full every time. Oh my God, it's Bruce the Shark from the hit 2003 computer animated Disney Pixar classic Finding Nemo.
Do you know why the shark was named Bruce?
I feel like I've heard it, but I don't remember right now.
Because the mechanical shark that they used in Jaws was nicknamed Bruce. Yeah.
Oh, that's
from
awesome.
the hit 1970. 73? Yeah, 73.
Something like that.
Maybe. Yeah. Someone will fact check me.
Yeah. But I'm sure I've shown you my slideshow that I made as a joke, but there was one day that I went on a tirade of just kind of trying to make Finding Nemo references in any way that I could.
Well, it's a great movie to reference.
It is. It was very easy, and I was just kind of sticking it into any sort of thing I could, to a point where everyone was like, stop.
Stop it.
I was like, no, you're only fueling my fire more.
No, I'm just going to keep swimming.
Yeah. Ooh, good one.
Yep.
That's another good message that this movie brings, the just keep swimming.
Yep.
You just have to keep going. Even though you have your hardships, you just have to keep going.
Yeah, exactly.
That's another good way to keep going. So, what do you think has kept this movie... this movie is one of, like, Pixar's classics, I guess, going off of my dumb joke. This one is really a classic in the Pixar repertoire. What do you think makes this movie so special by even Pixar standards?
The animation is beautiful.
Absolutely.
Even by today's standards. Like, I think nobody really realizes how hard it was to animate, like, underwater stuff.
That's exactly what
years
I was
ago.
Say. Water is hard to do.
Water is very hard, and now it's just like it's so easy for people. Now
you just have like Way of Water.
Or even like that scene in Frozen 2.
Yeah, exactly.
When she's running on the water, I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, water is hard, and they did a great job of that. Even 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing. So the animation's great. I think one of the most iconic film scores.
Absolutely.
I love the Finding Nemo or the egg theme or whatever it's called on the track. It's just a heartwarming, timeless story. Again, like a father who will stop at nothing to take care of his son.
Yeah.
He will risk his life to cross the ocean to protect his son. And I think that's just something that is universally relatable in many ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So... were there any other, like, key animation bits that you think were really, like, stood out? Because one of the things that, like, I think of is, like, we talked about the water, like, different, like, the water passages, like, especially with, like, the turtles and everything, and how they got everything to, like, come together.
Yes. I think the scene where they're, like, I'm going to call it fog, when they're, like, lost in the fog before the whale comes.
Yes.
Like, I just feel like the depth of that looks so good. Like, it's just water, and it's two, for lack of better term, it's just two CGI floating things, but it looks so huge.
Yeah.
The jellyfish scene is incredibly well done. What are some other ones? I think I lost my thought.
Another thing that stands out to me in this movie is how, like, vibrant all the colors are.
Yes, it's a very colorful movie.
Yeah. Everything's very brightly colored, and especially since you have clownfish as your protagonists, they're bright orange on your very well blued blue ocean.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing when Marlin is chasing the boat, and the bubbles of the jet of the boat are like just I'm like, that's such a simple little detail, but it's so like.
But it's just well done.
It's effective. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was very well done. So. What other aspects? So you talked about how, like, Marlin's story has really connected with you. Are there any other characters' stories that really, like, resonated with you or connected with you in a different way?
Like Flo the fish, I too have a sister that I don't talk. No, just kidding. That's a great question. I would definitely say Dory in some ways.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because, like, we've talked about it a few times already. The real world is scary, but you can't help but admire that unwavering optimism she has.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That she is a great figure, especially in a movie where if you didn't have Dory and you were just following Marlin, it would be a little bleaker.
Right.
But you have Dory who's really motivated, and even though she really doesn't have, she's never even met Nemo, so she has really no connection to him.
Right.
She, even right off the bat, is like, we're going to do this. Yeah.
Yeah, she's into it. She's like, all right, I'll help you.
Here we go. We're going. Mm-hmm. And that's something that even if you don't automatically resonate with, you can kind of strive for.
Yeah. She's a great example. Like, she just helps people out. Yeah. And just because she wants to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even, like, if you don't automatically resonate with the characters you have, especially when you're a kid, you don't really understand the anxiety that Marlin's feeling or, like, the fear that Nemo is separated from his family, and you don't know what it's like to have as short-term memory loss that Dory has because you've only been alive for so long and everything is still right there.
Yeah.
You kind of don't really pick up on the flaws that these characters have until you get to a point of maturity where you kind of realize that everyone has these flaws and you can resonate with them, but you still have something in them that you can strive for.
Yeah. It's nice that when you grow, a movie can grow with you.
Absolutely.
Or you can continue to take new things out of it as you rewatch it over and over.
Yeah, even though this is a movie that's made for children, you can watch it years down the line and really pick up something new from it even. I don't remember when the last time I've seen this was, but even like talking about it now, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. It just even like I now currently know what it feels like to have being off in college. I now understand what it's like to feel the anxiety of being separated from home and talking to my parents, like their experience of me going off to college. It's a different perspective that you kind of hear about, especially in like a movie like this, but you don't really understand until you've experienced something like that. Yeah. And even though it's slightly less traumatic than being lost in the ocean and having no way home, I mean, I would go to school in California. I'm very far away. I can't just come home whenever I want to. There are some people that choose to do that, but I didn't. Yeah. So my parents need to learn how to let go, and so do I. And in times like this, it's Nemo gives you some comfort because you realize that even when you are separated, they're still with you. Yeah. And you're still connected to them. Just you are still found. Yeah.
No, I didn't go to college as far as you did. I went from Massachusetts to Connecticut, but
that's
it was
still a few hours away, though.
Yeah, and I imagine it was very hard for my parents to let. You and I are both only children, so I can only imagine what it feels like.
Just like Nemo.
Yeah, and not very close to home, and you're on your own, kid. Yeah, I almost quoted Taylor Swift. Not on this podcast.
That's songs that matter.
Yeah. But yeah, you really get a new perspective for this film as you grow older. Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when you are a kid and you think about just, oh, Nemo is off so scared. You don't really realize how scary it must be for Marlin. Yeah. Because my mom and I am currently taking a summer class at BU. And I know that even during the day, my mom worries about me driving into Boston. Yeah. Understandably, because it gives me some anxiety too. But
well, because it's driving in Boston.
It's driving in Boston, so that's fear-inducing unto itself. But now that I've done it, and I haven't had to experience the fear of somebody else driving in Boston, but I fully understand where my mom's fear comes from. Yeah. And watching it being applied to a different situation, even though it's an animated fish underwater, it's very real.
Yeah. That's never going to go away. I'll tell you that right now.
Exactly.
My mother still worries about where I am. So, as you just saw, my phone lit up text message from Mom. So,
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah. I'm at work, Mom.
I'm in a podcast.
Yeah. Talking about driving in Boston, that's another thing my parents worry about. My old job, like, I had to drive, like, everywhere. Like, I used to film depositions for attorneys, and so that required me driving, like, from Boston to Providence to, like, Connecticut, like, at different places each week. Yeah. So sometimes you would have no idea where I was.
Exactly.
So that was probably pretty harrowing for my parents. Like, okay, he's home from college, but now he's just driving to different attorneys' offices all across New England.
Exactly. You're still away from home. And that's tough. But as long as you are still there at the end of the movie to give them a hug before you head off and do your own thing, it's still going to give them some comfort.
Yeah, for sure.
That movie at the very end of the movie, I know you've already brought it up, but that little hug is very symbolic. And even for us who are... technically, I am still going off to school, but just as long as you have the ability to just comfort them and know that you're going to be okay.
Run home and give them that hug.
Exactly.
Yeah. Still gets me.
Yep.
To this day.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's very special.
It is.
So, we've harped on that scene a little bit. Are there any other, like, really important scenes that kind of stand out to you? I feel like I keep repeating that question, but...
No, it's fine. I do really love the moment where he is finally reunited with his son, and like it's been a very harrowing moment. We thought Nemo had died from the collapse of the fishing net and stuff, and they finally find him. And Marlin, like in good typical dad fashion, cuts it with a bit of a dad joke and says, like, I found a sea turtle and he was 150 years old. And then in Nemo in typical kid fashion, who has just been through like probably the second most harrowing experience of his life, immediately contests it. Like Sandy Plankton said they only lived to be 100. And then it's just like friendly back and forth banter. And I'm like, that's what a father and son do. Like through the hard times, they still find moments to smile.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a very special bond that they have and can be related into other relationships that are out as well.
Yeah. So
you've talked about the music a little bit as well. How do you think the music really ties into the movie as well as it does?
Again, that scene, not the scene, but there are so many scenes in this movie where the music elevates it. Again, that main theme really like strikes a chord, literally, with me in that opening where like the moon is reflected on the water and the piano is playing. It's almost a little bit like a lullaby in some ways.
Yeah. And
in a way, like Marlin is kind of tucking his son into bed at that moment, saying like, I promise I'll never let anything happen to him. He's cradling the egg. So the music definitely gives you that feel of a parent like telling a story to a child, or a parent looking over a child. I'm thinking of other moments where like they're racing through the jellyfish and you got the violins going. Have you ever heard the joke where like someone is describing a Western film? Like it's like this widowed father is traveling across like the country to rescue his disabled son from kidnappers, and on his way,
yes, I have, yeah.
And then like at the end of it, like this is the plot of Finding Nemo.
What was it? It was, I think you sent it to me. It was somebody on a podcast sent in a story that was, like, really traumatic. It's just like,
yes,
I lost all my children, and my only child that I have went missing, and they were talking about that as if it happened to them, and they're just like, I know that you thought that was traumatic. Yeah, that's a children's movie.
But it brings up a good point. This film very much does have a lot of Western motifs where someone is going across the country because they're seeking, like, not revenge, but they've been wronged in some way and they're in search of something. Yeah. And the music definitely elevates that too. Like, the music can get very adventurous at times.
Absolutely.
Like, they run the full gamut of, like, sweet lullaby to, like, chase across country.
Yeah.
Or ocean, what have you.
They put a lot of different sort of genres into it. It's primarily, it's a children's movie where you've got lots of action, you've got lots of comedy, you've got plenty of dramatic moments.
Yeah.
There's kind of any sort of moment or vibe, I don't want to say vibe, but I'll go with vibe.
Yeah.
That you can kind of ask for. You can find it within that movie in some sense, whether it be just the visuals, the music, the story itself, any of that sort of really works with it.
Yeah. And even like the part, we keep coming back to the same scenes, when like Marlin is telling the story to the sea turtles and the music is sort of like, in a way, the music is carrying the story across time, across the ocean and stuff. It's very like fantastical. It's very like, it's building up the legend and stuff. It goes into that whole like lullaby Western, like a legend is born type thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. One other kind of thing that I was thinking about just a second ago was, I know we talked about kind of like the diversity of the characters that they have. Yeah. The characters are all very well animated, but they're all very different in sort of who they are, what they look like, their stories. Everyone kind of has their story, and that's very representative of what it's like out in the real world. Yeah. How everyone kind of is different, but they're all together. Like,
everyone's got their quirks in this movie.
That's a good word for it. Yeah. Absolutely. Like, I'm thinking of the fish tank gang. How they all have their stories, how they ended up there. The sharks, how they are just very different. Yeah. I was thinking about it because I was thinking of is the teacher's name Mr. Ray, or did I make that up? Yes, Mr. Ray.
Yeah. No, that's right.
Yeah.
And he is a ray, a stingray.
Exactly. Because I was thinking about just how I love stingray animations. Mm-hmm. I was at an aquarium while I was in Quebec earlier this summer, and we were at a little stingray area, and my parents and I just sat and stared at the stingrays for like 10, 15 minutes. maybe even longer. We just sat there and watched them for a while.
You know they killed Steve Irwin, right?
They're still fun to watch.
Okay.
And you can put your hand out. You can touch them.
Yeah, you could put your hand out. Do you want to?
I have some fun videos of them as well.
Okay, all right. That's for after the show.
These ones are in captivity.
Oh, yeah, well, they deserve to be.
But going back to just Mr. A, I was thinking about how, like, just fun it is to kind of just watch him kind of float around. And
yeah.
He doesn't really have too much of a story to him, but kind of he integrates well because he's a teacher. You don't really, I think it's funny that they kind of take the aspect of a school of fish and then they just have an actual teacher.
Yeah. I also love how somehow all the fish can still ride on him.
Yeah.
Not holding on to anything.
On top of him.
And I'm like, I know this is a kid's movie, but like it's rooted in reality and nothing's right here.
Let's suspend a little bit of belief here.
That's fine.
But that actually just made me think about how actually while I was at that aquarium, I was one of the I feel like every kid after they see this movie they go to the aquarium and they look for clownfish or they look for bluefish.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And just this movie is so kind of impactful that just you see a fish and you're like, where is he?
Found Nemo.
I found him. And that's just that's generational. Kind of everyone does that.
For sure.
This movie has kind of made such a cultural impact that just anytime you see a fish, you think of this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
You kind of just see orange and you're like, is that Nemo? I vividly remember I think even when I was a kid, like just being in an aquarium and I just see a fish that is blue and thinking, it's Dory. It's not even close to being Dory. It just is a similar...
Just a blue fish.
It's just a blue fish and you're just like, that's Dory.
Yeah.
That fish doesn't know it, but it's Dory.
It's Dory. You're Dory now.
That is Dory. I have declared it. That is Dory.
I've been in the aquarium forever.
I haven't either, actually. I haven't been to the New England Aquarium.
Yeah. It's driving in Boston again.
Exactly.
It's all connected.
We'll save that for another day.
Yep.
If I don't have to do it, I'm not going to do it.
That's fair. Yeah. But I still, no. I was going to say, I'll never take the subway.
Oh, God, no. Absolutely not. I actually forgot what I was going to say. But,
just look at the sheet.
I keep looking down at it. But I think I was going to say something along the lines of, how else do you think this movie is kind of, other than just being able to point out fish, how else do you think this movie has kind of impacted people that watch it? Because I feel like there's a lot of just ways that people relate it to being real.
I think it says it all with Dory, just keep swimming. Like, I think that that has really impacted people, like, to just keep moving forward and, stay positive. Like, the real world is scary, but, Dory's a good role model for, staying positive when things are hard. I mean, early COVID, I don't know if you remember, I went live on Instagram when I was watching this movie.
I don't remember that, actually, but good for you.
Whatever.
But
I was just like, hey, everybody, I'm live on Instagram watching Finding Nemo if you want to watch it with me. And I felt like that just felt like a good movie to watch during early COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think we all needed to just keep swimming in that moment and stay positive.
Absolutely.
And it was really hard to at that time.
Definitely. So. One of the questions on the sheet here is just how has this movie, watching it throughout the years, and kind of what are like your specific viewing memories of it? That's a great one to have as your example.
I would say that one for sure. Yeah,
you have your early COVID. You have your when you first saw it. Are there any other like specific memories of watching it? Do you have?
I can't. My memory might be fading at the ripe old age of 32.
A little short-term memory loss for you.
Yeah, exactly. I think Disney might have re-released this one in 3D in theaters. It looked gorgeous in 3D.
Ooh, oh yeah, I bet this one is good in 3D.
I'm dating myself again. This is one of the first DVDs I bought with my own money. Yeah, I think I bought it with my own money. Someone's going to correct me otherwise. And that person's name is Mom. Yeah.
The person texting you right
now? And I wore those discs down. And I think, I really, because back then, DVDs were actually loaded with, special features and stuff and behind-the-scenes stuff. This is back when people actually cared about physical media. I probably, watched all the special features on that disc.
What were in the special features that, stood out to you? Do you remember?
There's one particular scene, and it was sort of it was a story of how the story developed. Originally, Marlin's backstory about losing like his wife and his children was going to be told through flashbacks throughout the portion of the film.
Oh, interesting.
And they sort of decided not to do that because it sort of undercut Marlin, like, until like you learned like what happened to him, he just seemed like a worrywart and a jerk.
Yeah.
So like the sympathy for Marlin came too far, too late into the movie, which I thought was kind of an interesting way talking about script structure and stuff.
Yeah. That's slightly related, but was this one? This one's directed by Andrew Stanton, right?
Yes, it is.
This one is a good one to think of when you think of his TED Talk.
Yes, I love his TED Talk.
His TED Talk. I don't remember if I had to have put it in my senior documentary.
Yeah.
But that senior, just his ideas on storytelling are just so marvelous.
Yeah, I love his TED Talk. He is one of my favorite filmmakers, even though he hasn't done a ton, but
the ones he has made are very special.
Yeah.
He is an incredible storyteller and
yes,
really knows how to really build a world around the story that you're listening to.
Yeah. I wish he would do more.
Come back.
Yeah, please. Trying to think of other viewings that I've done. I mean, there was that moment where like it was like a day at home where I watched it with like dad and stuff.
Mm-hmm. What was that movie like to watch with your dad?
Again, like you get a different perspective every time you watch a movie with someone different. I find we didn't have like a analytical discussion about it, but I felt like very aware of like his presence in the film and like our relationship as we watched it, because it's a story of a father and a son, and you know I was very close with my dad, and like I sort of started to understand more about like what my dad did or what he has to do as a father and stuff.
Yeah.
And this is silly because my father always sometimes like made like silly commentary when he was watching movies and stuff. When Marlin is leaving and he's like they've given up, like Nemo's like dead, quote unquote. He's going home and like Dory is like sort of like pleading him to not go. I just remember my father going like, "Oh, she's in love with him."
Oh, what a different movie that would have.
That would have been a very different movie. But that always stuck out to me. Like, wow, okay.
Good one, Dad.
Good one. Just love his little like sound bites like that throughout movies.
Yeah, no, my dad has a tendency to just predict how things are going as movies happen.
Yeah.
So he'll just be like, they're gonna do this, or if it's like cops or military style things, he'll just be like, they can't do that.
I remember when we saw Mary Poppins Returns as a family, which is fine. You know, we love Mary Poppins Returns. There's I can't remember. They were looking for like the deed to the house, but it was like missing. And my father would go, "Check your briefcase." Not like in the middle of the theater, just like screaming, "Check your briefcase." Just remember under like, "Check your briefcase." And he wasn't right, but it was a good thought. And then I loved during Lin-Manuel Miranda's big like lamplighter number, when like they go into the sewer and then like we get to that. There's the shot where it's like showing us the big stage where the big musical dance number is going to go, and I just remember him going, "Oh, geez, here we go." Probably because we just watched Mary Poppins like a week before here at BCAT, so he probably knew it was coming. He was like, "All right, here we go."
He's prepared.
Yep.
Got to stay prepared.
Yep. Enough about Mary Poppins.
But enough about Mary Poppins.
That's another episode.
We're going to go back under the water really quick.
Yeah, Under the Sea.
Under the Sea. Not that one either.
Not that one either.
Wrong one.
Again, another back when people really cared about DVDs and physical media, Nemo and Marlin were like talking in the background on the DVD menu, and I remember distinctively Dory was like, "I'm so excited! I've always wanted to watch The Little Mermaid."
Wait, yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
I've seen that. Oh,
yeah.
That's a good little just bit to add in.
Yeah,
that just also made me think. I think Ellen DeGeneres is a great person to voice Dory.
She's perfect.
Absolutely, 100%. Putting aside any opinions I have on Ellen.
Yeah,
Ellen,
sure.
She's perfect for Dory.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We can separate the art from the artist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. I think the voices in the movie are very well done as well.
Yeah, and there are some A-listers, but they're not huge, or they weren't very huge at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that always stands out to me is they had an actual, like, kid as Nemo.
Yeah. And he does a really good job.
He does a great job.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but
Alexander Gould.
yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Pixar does a really good job of finding young actors to play their characters.
Yeah.
Like,
one thing about him that I remember that stood out to me was he was an adult by the time that Finding Dory came out.
Yeah.
But they still wanted to put him in the movie, so he's a truck driver in Finding Dory.
yeah. And did his little brother play Nemo? I can't remember.
No, I think I got somebody different.
Yeah.
But I love that even though he was an adult and couldn't play Nemo anymore, they still found a way to just keep him around.
Well, he still could have played Nemo, just in a different movie.
It would have been a little different.
Very different movie.
Would have turned out a little different.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on Finding Dory?
I like it.
Finding Dory, and I'll just say this right now, is easily my favorite Pixar sequel.
I think I would agree with that.
Easily.
Yeah. Non-Toy Story, I'll say. No, because I would even take it over, well, at least one Toy Story sequel.
Yeah. Finding Dory is like, yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. I think it's just really funny.
It is very
It's
funny.
so funny.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, like I was talking about how, like, I reference, like, the Mind My Mind with my family all the
Yeah.
time. I don't remember if it was, I saw Finding Dory at the same time as, like, my aunt and my cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, we were all really close at the time. We all were out on vacation together. And, what was it? The Seals on the Rock?
Yes. Oh my God. The Seals on the Rock.
Those guys just killed us, and we referenced them all the time. And Becky, more like Pecky.
Yeah, Becky. I love Gerald.
I love Gerald. Absolutely. I love that he got his little moment right at the end with his bucket.
I love Ty Burrell's character.
Yep. Absolutely.
And it's a little bit of a Modern Family reunion with Ed O'Neill as the octopus.
Yep.
Yep.
That's right.
Hank.
I love the octopus, the septopus.
Septopus, excuse me. But no, it's a very fun movie. And
It's very fun, and I love that they gave Dory even just a little bit more backstory as well.
Yeah.
Where they did it good. They didn't need to give her that in the original,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm glad that they did it very well. They made it just a cohesive story.
yeah, like you always worry about when like a side character gets the we'll say the Cars 2 treatment. But they handled it really well.
They did. They did a very good job of simultaneously making it feel like a sequel. That you need the first one and you kind of go into the second one and kind of want continuation of the story. But they also made it a very good like standalone movie.
Yeah.
Where it's you like to have the context behind Finding Nemo, but at the same time, Finding Dory, you can just go sit and watch Finding Dory just because you want to.
And it builds on the themes of the first one about like found family and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. They do a very good job of including, because Dory really is just included as a part of their family in that movie, which I think, and I like having Nemo as just kind of like a little side character.
Yeah.
As like just him and Marlin being together and kind of just being like the come on, Dad.
Yeah, I do like the change of pace where it's Nemo and Marlin sort of doing the journey.
Yeah.
Doing the finding, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Finding Dory is a very appropriate name for it. Even just continuing with the namesake, but they really do. They have to go find Dory, and Dory finds herself in it as well. So,
Have you ever heard of the canceled Finding Nemo sequel?
I was looking at that on the paper. Tell me more.
So, way back when, in like 2006, Disney and Pixar were going to go their separate ways. But because Disney owned the rights to everything from Finding Nemo prior, they were going to make sequels on their own without Pixar's involvement. And it was called the Circle 7 Animation Studio. And thankfully, Pixar and Disney made amends, and none of these projects came to be. But one of them was a Finding Nemo sequel. And it was going to be a bit of a role reversal where Nemo went to find Marlin.
Oh.
And then, I guess, another sibling was going to be discovered to have survived.
Oh, don't pull a soap opera on us. Don't do that.
Like there was going to be another fish, or another clownfish, that apparently survived the Barracuda attack.
Oh.
Yeah.
That I don't like nearly as much.
I would love to read the script if it's out there.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see how they handle it, but that kind of just feels very soapy.
Yeah.
It just... That kind of feels forced.
Yeah.
Very overly cliche.
I would rather a sibling revealed to be alive than the mother being revealed to be alive.
Yeah.
That would undercut.
That would really
everything.
take away some emotional depth from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of you thought all this?
Mm-hmm.
No.
But you should some of the canceled sequels are pretty fascinating. The Monsters, Inc. sequel that was canceled, hot take, probably would have been better than Monsters University.
What was it?
It was, Mike and Sully were going to visit Boo for her birthday, but when they get into the room, they find like an old lady.
Oh, wait, that actually would be really interesting.
Yeah, so it's not like, Boo's gotten older, like Boo has moved.
Oh.
So they sort of like go into the real world to find her in a way.
Interesting.
I think. Don't quote me, but that it's very
along those lines.
Yeah, along those lines like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then Toy Story 3 was just going to be like Buzz malfunctioning and getting recalled to Japan. Yeah. So, and there were some really weird canceled toy designs out there.
Oh, if you're planning to get some Japan in there, you're gonna get some interesting choices.
Yeah. So
that sounds like fun.
That's an alternate timeline we don't have to worry about too much.
So are there any other like fun facts about the film that you know of or really appreciate?
I remember on Pixar's Instagram years ago, they did a sort of like illustration collage of like how Andrew Stanton like came up with Nemo. And he sort of talked about like how he was walking his son through the park, and it was his firstborn. He was very nervous and stuff. And that sort of inspired him to like think of Marlin and Nemo, like bringing his son out into the real world and being afraid and stuff like that.
Interesting.
I think he also talked about a bit of what Finding Nemo was inspired by in his TED Talk, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
There were a lot of interesting, there's two interesting voices that could have been for this movie. Do you remember Will and Grace, or do you know of Will and Grace?
Yes.
Okay, so they wanted Megan Mullally, who plays Karen, who has like the weird high-pitched voice.
Yes.
Married to Nick Offerman.
Yes.
Yeah. So
she was in Parks and Rec.
Yeah. So she always did like this weird high-pitched voice for her character on Will and Grace.
Huh.
And they wanted her to do it for Flo. But when she came to the studio, they were like, "Oh, that's not your real voice?" And so like it was like a conflict. I can't do the Karen voice for you because that's like a breach of contract or whatever. So
yeah.
And then Robin Williams was supposed to play somebody. I don't know who. It might have been Bubbles. I'm not 100% sure, but because of the whole Aladdin debacle, he was still sour on Disney, so he didn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's my fun fact for you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I know it's not quite a fun fact, but I really enjoy just the fact that this movie has a lot of just like very quotable things.
Oh yeah.
Just like you can hear a lot of just the lines from the movie and just immediately just know that you're talking about Finding Nemo.
Yeah, of course.
It just kind of is very cultural impact, and not just like in like one little like thing that you see, not just a symbol, just a lot of the lines from the movie.
Yeah.
You made me ink. Just keep swimming.
He touched the butt.
You touched the butt. I had another one on the tip of my tongue, and I forgot it as I was about to say it. Damn it.
It's not a quote, but the shot of Nemo like side-eyeing his father on the reef is one of my favorite reaction gifs.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I have saved on my phone for many occasions.
That's such a good one. P. Sherman Wallaby Way.
Yeah, P. Sherman Wallaby Way. 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney.
Yeah, like that's not something that would roll off the tongue super easily or like have anything that like would have any relevance. But like, if you said what's the address from Finding Nemo, people know it.
Yeah. For sure. P. Sherman, 42 Wallaby Way, Sydney.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's what a very specific thing, but it's something that, like, people think about still. Yeah. Even though, like, again, this was 20 years ago, and this is still something that a lot of people grew up with and just have ingrained in their memories.
Yeah. It's a part of the Disney legacy now. I mean, how many rides are at Disney World and Disneyland? There's the stage show at Animal Kingdom, which I love, by the way. Right. Yeah.
They have, I don't know if they got rid of it or not, but they have the submarine ride.
I think that's still in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Which everyone tells me is horrible, but I'm like, haters.
I did it once, the first time I went to Disney, and I don't remember it that much. Okay. I remember not being that affected by it, but since it's a submarine ride, so I get why people don't like it, because it's a little claustrophobic, but, I mean, it's kind of a cool concept, so I don't have anything against it.
I like the one in Epcot where you travel through the aquarium and they project the fish onto the glass wall. Ooh. So it looks like they're actually in the aquarium.
That's fun.
I never did Turtle Talk with Crush.
I was about to bring that up. I never did it, but I saw videos of it, and I just think it's funny.
Oh, TikTok loves Turtle Talk with Crush.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
They love putting Crush in uncomfortable situations.
Don't do Crush like that. Don't do my boy Crush like that.
Just imagining, like, someone, like, in the booth, like, oh, man, like, now what?
I gotta do this. Come on, I don't get paid enough for this.
Exactly. But I always did love the show at Animal Kingdom. I have the soundtrack.
You ever seen the Disney on Ice of Nemo?
Oh, God. Why do we have to talk about that?
We don't have to. I just wanted to throw it out there because it just occurred to me.
I have a theory that as the costumes at Disney parks get more advanced, the costumes for Disney on Ice just slowly descend more and further into darkness.
They have one budget for both of them, and they up the budget for the parks and lower it for the ice.
Like the frickin' where like the faces are on the stomachs for the fish.
They have to like hold up the fin with the stick.
That would have been fine. Like that's what they do for Animal Kingdom, I think.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's like a new meme now too. Like the kid rehearsing with Nemo.
Yep.
And he's like, "Where's my dad?" I'm like, "Oh, come on, don't ruin it for me.
Don't do it like that." I had something to say about either Crush or Disney. This is very unrelated, but did you see what they did in October for like Mickey's Halloween Fest with not for Nemo, but for what's the villain from Coco? I just forgot it as I was talking about it.
Ernesto de la Cruz.
Yes. Did you see the costume that they did for that?
Mm-hmm.
It was so good.
Yeah.
I saw it on Instagram all the time, and I was like, that's so impressively done.
Mm-hmm.
It was like
really good looking.
That was... It really it made me laugh, because the face that they did for him was, like, perfect and looked really, like... Mm-hmm. It looked like you saw him, and then you look at his hands, and he's just wearing skeleton gloves from Party City.
I think they had Darla at the Halloween Bash, too. At some point.
I think they did. I know they did in the past. I don't remember if they did this year, but I'm sure I saw Sid this year. I saw that they had Sid this year. I saw
Sid, yeah.
Sid was fun to look, fun to watch.
Another fun, not a fun behind the scenes, but you know Pixar loves their Easter eggs.
Oh, absolutely.
When Nemo is like first put in the tank and he's like frantically looking around, and then you see Buzz Lightyear on the ground by the toy chest.
Oh yeah, that's right. This one has a lot of, the Pixar theory stuff that's added into it. Because I remember, I think it was in Nemo. They have, there's a kid in the waiting room of the dentist, and he's reading, like, a Mr. Incredibles comic.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I thought that was Nemo, right?
Or, like, the Pizza Planet truck drives by as they're, like, they're planning their escape. Mike Wazowski swims by in the credits.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember in Inside Out, they have a board game inside Riley's mind, and it's just it's a Nemo board game in the background.
Oh, I've never seen that one.
I'll pull it up after we're done.
Okay.
But I remember it. They have like it's in the background of like one of her like inside her mind. They run past it. It's like right up in the corner of the screen. You have to be looking for it.
Yeah.
To know that it's there.
Okay. Keep my eye out for that.
Yeah, I'll show you it when I'm done when we're done with this, but. We've been going for a while, so what are your closing thoughts? Really, what is, in short, just why does Finding Nemo matter to you?
It reminds me a lot of my relationship with my father. I see a lot of it, a lot of myself in the characters. I was raised with a love of the ocean, so I love the animation. And I think there's a lot of themes and ideals that I really like that are represented in this movie, like taking care of your people, you know, no matter the cost, no matter the hardship, and also just like staying positive in a very terrifying world. And just the idea of passing the torch to the next generation.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. What a no better film to pull all of those together.
Yeah.
And happy 20th to Finding Nemo.
Happy 20th to Finding Nemo.
All right. So, thank you for letting me technically be the host of this episode.
No, you're hired.
This was super fun. We'll see if we do this again in the future.
Oh, we will. We will.
this certainly is not the end for me, because
No.
I will be back very shortly for our double feature.
Yeah.
Which you'll have to stay tuned for.
Yeah, and obviously, you're the reason this podcast exists, so you'll be back many more times on either side of this table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Sweet.
So, to
Now
wrap it up.
Yeah, you know what to do.
I know the lines. I know the words. All right. If you have a recommendation or an idea, let us know at moviesthatmatterpod@gmail.com. Email us. The IG, moviesthatmatterpod, and of course, the Twitter.
Or the X, whatever you want to call it these days.
No. We're going to dead name it. It's Twitter.
Dead name it, okay.
I saw someone on Instagram say that. I'm like, oh, don't put it like that. Don't do that. Movies that matter, but no T.
You gonna do it?
Movies that matter.
Okay.
Or no, I think I say movies that matter every time.
Movies that made.
Movies that matter.
That fits the theme of today.
That does. I make that joke every time, but it's movies that matter.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
remember, folks, entertainment is subjective, and that's not a bad thing.
I've taught her well. The student has become the master.
I've done enough of these episodes.
All right. So stay tuned. Part 2 is coming up next.
Good night, folks.